I am recording this, I think. Okay, hello, ministry specialists. We're not here. You can wave to them. Hello, we'll see you all soon. We're just going to record the meeting so that those who missed can stay caught up. But thank you for coming out tonight. I hope you enjoyed your meal. And I was telling a few of you, I haven't done a meeting like this in months. So, this is so beautiful just to see everyone in, close proximity and real relationship face to face. So thank you for making an effort and for showing up. It's so good to see you. We are going to kick it off with some introductions to make sure that everybody knows everyone and maybe share a little bit about just your name, what ministry you're serving with, and then do you want to do the icebreaker?
Sure.
Do they pick one or what's your preference?
Pick whichever one you want.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to start?
So I'll go first.
Perfect.
Just to word my mouth.
No.
Okay.
You're far. As long as you're far.
I know, right? My name is Sharon. I'm a ministry specialist for ministry specialists. And I'm gonna do one of these icebreakers. So, what's your favorite item? No, I don't want to do that one because that's from last year. If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be? Who would play you? Definitely, I would probably say. Who's a younger? Selena Gomez would play me, and it would be a romantic comedy for sure.
Perfect. Who knows who Selena Gomez is? No, some don't. Okay, just curious. No, I know. Yeah, let's go around. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Mariah. I'm a ministry specialist with Alive with Clay, and my favorite item that I've bought this year. This is gonna sound really, I don't know, weird, but I bought a floor steamer over quarantine.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
it steams your floors for you, makes them clean.
That's awesome.
You can come to my house if you want.
Yes. Steamer floors.
I love it.
My name's Ryan. I'm also a ministry specialist with Alive, Clay. I'm gonna go with the first question. If the movie is made for your life, it would definitely be a rom-com, no doubt.
Wow. Okay, I love it.
I love rom-coms. So good. Who would play me? Toss up between two of Ryan Gosling and Channing
That's the
Tatum.
first
Oh,
person I thought. That's the first person I thought was Ryan
That is
Gosling.
so funny. Okay. I'll just go. I'm Leah. I think I know you all, but it's so great to see you. Again, we're really excited just to spend time together this year and get to know you a little bit better. My favorite item I bought this year is a big one. We poured a patio 2 weeks ago, and the real fun purchase is coming, but they're backlogged by 3 months. So we've been talking for 10 years, maybe more, about getting a hot tub. So we poured a patio for what will be the hot tub. So if we get stuck at home again, that's where I'll be. That's what I'll be doing. That's what it'll be. So anyway, we'll hand it over there.
My name is Kristen. I'm a ministry specialist for Kingdom Kids. And if a movie was made about my life, it would probably be a comedy. And I'm not entirely sure who would play me. Use your imagination for someone who would look like me, I guess. But yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, Reese Witherspoon. That's a cute one. That would be great.
Okay, Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, Reese. Call it.
I'm Leah, and I am a ministry specialist with the care team, and helping them with creative and serving with them. Probably my favorite thing that I've bought this year. I should have thought through my answer. Probably, it sounds really lame, but I got an air purifier for our house. And it's just, I don't know, it's nice, it has a little bit of air, and it just, with all the germs, you just feel better about yourself having that. So,
yeah, you are a real adult now. That's what that means. I'm sorry.
Not one thing. Yeah, so that's probably my answer.
I love it.
I'm Ashton, and I work with Thrive Marriage Ministry. And the favorite item I bought this year, well, I was telling them my whole main floor because I renovated.
Yes.
So maybe my kitchen or my couch. I don't know. But yes.
I'm Ken. I'm a ministry specialist for Healing on the Streets. And my movie movie would be it'd be a Hallmark movie. Kind of combined with a really rough start. The first part would be probably pretty tough, but the last part's a happy ending.
Oh, I love that. Well, telling you.
I'd probably have to use two different people to play me, the bad guy and the good guy.
Oh, I love it. Joe?
My name's Joe Warner, and I'm a ministry specialist under Clay now. He's a busy guy. And what do I do? So I'm in charge of making prayer appointments for people, like longer prayer appointments.
Yeah.
And setting up the teams and training the teams and all that. And the favorite item I bought this year was kind of funny. So in May, about middle of May, I bought new furniture, but it did not arrive until what, the middle of August.
Oh, yes.
So we had a small group at my house, but we had to have it outside anyway.
Yeah.
So no furniture inside my house.
Wow.
But it was kind of nice because you know when you don't have no furniture, it's so easy to clean.
That's so
Where'd you order from?
Yeah.
Should I even? I mean,
Okay.
Everything's back
they
up.
were waiting because I did order. I mean, I ordered a lot because I had 2 rooms to fill, and they were waiting on one chair. I said, really?
Oh, that is.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, they're a good company.
Yeah.
I ordered from Lazy Boy, but they were just like,
Yes.
we want to deliver it all at one time. I'm like, okay, but not that big. I just had a small group outside all.
I like that.
I'm Tracy, and I work ministry specialist in community life with Brandon, specifically working mainly with small groups and coaches for small groups, and writing the lifeline. So if you don't like it, you can
Don't love it.
try to fix it. You know, there's suggestions. I'm taking them. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. My favorite item I bought this year: baby clothes for my new granddaughter. That was fun last week.
I'm Marla. I'm a ministry specialist for the food pantry, and my favorite item is a new printer for my office.
Oh, yeah.
I had an old one; it was junk, and this one's so nice.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
I love it.
I'm Mike, and I'm a ministry specialist with Outreach Ministry and the Prayer Ministry. And a movie of my life, it would be a war movie with George C. Scott in it.
I love it.
And I'm Kathy, his war room advisor. Actually, I'm the head of the war.
She's the War Department.
Oh.
And I'm alongside him as ministry specialist with Outreach and now Prayer. And the most fun thing I bought was some faux dog fur for a fidget apron that I made for my sister who turned 65. And it was just the silliest thing I've ever done. And so if anyone wants a custom-made fidget apron, just let me know something that's favorite to you and I will figure it out.
Fidget apron. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
What a fidget apron is.
Yeah. What is it?
Oh, a fidget apron is something, initially it was for Alzheimer patients, so that when they are, when they're seated and can be occupied with things, just different, yes.
Oh, this is
Mine are better than that.
Okay.
That's fun. That is cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, this is really good for kids.
But my sister doesn't have Alzheimer's, although the other sisters wonder now.
Oh. I love siblings. That's amazing. All right, well, thank you all for sharing. I think we hit everyone. If you want, do you guys want to just peel back and maybe we can, like, just open it up, because then I think we can see everybody, and then we'll all just be, there you go. It's not, I mean, be comfortable, so get behind chairs, whatever, but that way we can just talk in a circle, as you can. You do have an agenda that we're really great at not sticking to real well, so, ebb and flow, welcome to ministry, you just roll with it. But really, thank you for your time, and thanks for showing up, and really thank you for the ways that you're investing in the kingdom and just the ways you're saying yes. And we hope that your time as a ministry specialist this year is actually incredibly beneficial for you. We really want to focus this year on leadership development and personal leadership, and how so much of what we have to give away is what we have. And so it makes it really important to continue leading yourself and growing in your own, not relationship with Jesus, one, but also your leadership skills, because that's what you have to build and give away in your ministries that you're serving. So again, if you have any feedback along the way, it's an open door. We would love to hear what's working, what's not working, what's helpful, what's not helpful. I mean, it's very open. We just want to say that. We really want this to be a place where you feel it's mutually beneficial. We do look at you as our beautiful, glorious, unpaid staff, and so we always say, like, jewels in your crown, it's going to be amazing, but we do see you and what you carry as being that important to us. And so these meetings, these chances we have to come together are really helpful for us, not only just to communicate things like vision and where the church is going and things like that, but really just to help you in your journey as well. And so thanks for making it a priority and for working through it with us. Right out of the gate, are there any questions before we dive into some of the stuff we want to talk about? And if not, it's super open, so. Okay, well, let's go ahead. We've got these blue, this packet that's stapled. Basically what I did, if you're in these seats, then you know that you have committed to something more than just a volunteer, although you are volunteering. You're really saying yes to leading in the church. And so with that, we just want to share some of the priorities to us as a church family. And again, it's an open conversation. We can always dialogue about it. These are 3 pages, are they not? Are they 2? They're 2? Nah, okay. Listen, I remembered how to use the copier today, and they stapled them for me, so I'm just saying. You do have to relearn things. You guys, I feel old. I'm like, I don't know why I don't know how to turn the TV on anymore or use this printer, but I figured it out. COVID. Okay. I want to talk through first just some of the expectations, and again, these are just things that help us stay on the same page. So I don't want you to ever feel like, gosh, these are requirements necessarily, but opportunities. And so these dinners are highly, highly valuable, and I know that you're giving so much away. The goal is that this is actually something given to you. And so when you make it a priority, it's just you sharing, like, gosh, I really value what we have to do together as a team. Something that, rather than put this kind of pressure on all the overseeing pastors and leaders, I want to take that on, share in partners with me, so that we can give you something that they don't have to focus on within their leadership, because there's so much that they're pouring into you and on top of all of this. But we are asking that you make these a priority, and that you can miss up to 2 a year. We just don't have enough of these, because part of me is in my mind, I'm like, gosh, I don't want to make it like this hard and fast rule, because I understand life happens, and hear me, I know life happens. But I do so value these times, and we just don't have enough of them really to make it a significant, I don't know, a drop in the bucket if we're not taking time to be together. And so thank you for your commitment, and thanks for making it a priority. And you know where the real kicker is, when my pastors plan things the same nights as my ministry specialist dinner. So just know, they have the dates now, and if they do it again, they're fired. So I'm just kidding. Okay. Again, we hope this is beneficial to you, and so you'll see there on that second page that some of the perks are, you've got that Vineyard email address, which if you have not yet set that up, or you need any help, I cannot help you, but Tyler can, so just talk to him. But you will be receiving like staff emails. It's going to be privileged information, so we just ask that you hold that with just the responsibility that comes with it. So thanks for honoring anything that might come through that way. Completing Connect 4, it's kind of weird. We actually have Connect 4 tonight at 8 o'clock, which I'm going to miss, so it's great. We've got people running it, but Connect is kind of in a weird place. If you haven't taken it, I think you've all been through it, actually, now that I think of it. But again, that's just our first step for people. So even as you see people in your ministries coming through and they're not sure where to start, always Connect 4, just so that we have a personal relationship with people. That's the goal. We want to know them, and obviously share a little bit about who we are. We don't want them to get 6 months into the church and like, oh, you believe in healing? Or you believe women can lead? Or you can be, like, there are just some core things that we don't want to surprise people. We just want to be really upfront. So that's what I love about Connect 4. And I love, you guys, if you ever get frustrated in ministry, which will never happen, I'm sure. But really, if you want to be encouraged, come to Connect 4 because these are the people who are coming through who are every time, I'm not kidding, it's so joyful. They are so excited to be here. You hear you sat there, story after story where people are like, I came in and like, I just like, I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I wanted to weep and worship and I just wanted, I'm like, that's Holy Spirit, yes, and it just kind of it just re-engages your heart for why we do what we do and just what happens in the presence and what can change in a moment for people. And so it's super encouraging. We also teach on healing, like right out of the gate, people get healed every class, so it's super fun. Just be like, look what God can do, and just he gets to show off a little bit, so it's super fun. So anyway, Connect 4, if you haven't done it, when we finally do it in person, we'll do it.
New version, I haven't done.
Yes, exactly. There it
I've done
is.
all the old ones.
There. Hey, well, you're always welcome. And honestly, as a ministry specialist, it's actually, again, it's not only encouraging for you, but it's good just to meet people. And so sometimes your ministry, like your connect points are, like Tamara runs it. Brandon's going to be helping her more. I'm trying to pull out a little bit, but really it just becomes a place to get to know people. And so especially if you're looking for ways just to grow your individual ministries and get people connected or raise up leaders or anything, it's like a hotbed for people because they're excited and they want to be here and they're fresh, I would say, just fresh fish in the boat,
Is it possible to
Yeah.
get like that sent out to the ministry specialist when it's scheduled?
Yes, that's a great idea. Sure, we just have the one tonight. I don't know when the next, we're like gonna try it again. We did one during COVID because this is via Zoom. And it was just like 2 or 3 people, which it was amazing. I'm just like, will people do another Zoom call? I don't know if we were so inundated. So I'm hopeful and not sure what we'll get, but yes, at any time, that's a great, because you guys can Zoom in too. You can just hop on. That's a great idea. Good job. You keep those good ideas coming. Good job. That's why we keep you guys around. All right. That you have the heartbeat of the ministry. Like we just want to know that your heart is connected here, and that doesn't mean we always all agree on things. And so I just want to put this out there. It is like a season of disagreement. Can't turn around without people disagreeing about something. It's exhausting, one, but also that's just life. We will not always agree, but we come together as a Vineyard family and says that we are committed to each other. We're committed to growing in relationship with Jesus and one another, and that should a disagreement ever become an offense, that we have a conversation and that we talk about it and we work it out. We don't want you working it out on social media. We don't want you working it out with over here, triangling and having conversations, not helpful, not productive, and not the kingdom way. And so basically all this to say is we just so value and appreciate the honest conversation. And as key leaders in the church, if you hear of things, we empower you to help people walk through their stuff. We're just not great at knowing how to navigate this, and all of us, we're all on a journey. But when you see things that just feel a little off or feel like, gosh, that just doesn't seem like Jesus. Like, we don't come at it like with condemnation. That's not what I'm saying, but like, wow, let me help pastor this. Like, there might be a better way to have this conversation, or let me help you see maybe something you're not seeing here, or how can I pray for you even, just to help bring some clarity. So you are all touch points to many people that we don't even get to touch, and so we so empower you to lovingly bless, encourage, build up the church at large. And so, not that the fires are never going to happen. I'm sure this just never, all the time. All right, Sockham, if you haven't attended Sockham, again, we love it because it helps you better understand why you believe what you believe, and it helps you grow in your own identity. And requirement is not a great word for it, but man, gosh, I think it'd be great for you. So if you have margin and you haven't done it, I've done it personally multiple times. It's great. It's wonderful. There's lots of ways to do it. I think it's are you guys hosting one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can go to Joe's house.
Yeah.
And you guys are hosting, are
Yeah.
you sure? I didn't know that. Okay.
There's 3 homes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, there you go. So if you want to take it, we're going to be working hard. Maybe we should pay you. All right. That's amazing. Very good. Very good. But yeah, it's a great class. Anything you guys want to say about Sockham?
Yeah, I've been in it since the very beginning. Yeah.
Did you just see that throwback pic? I don't know if it was my time hop or what. It was like from 2011. It was the first class.
Yeah.
So, everyone changes a little in
It was
a decade.
But yeah, so
Dan Putman in the front row. I'm thinking, is that Dan?
Yeah.
It sure is.
It's Putty.
And Putty, I know. Baby Putty. Oh.
I don't know, I just think every time, and I bet you can see this, every time we take it over and over again, you still.
Yeah, you get
more.
something, you get
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else every time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so good.
so it is amazing.
I love it. Well, thank you guys for hosting that. That's awesome. Great, great, great. And then that pastoral mindset, and I kind of talked about that a little bit with, you know, how you pastor the people that you're around, but even just having that heartbeat of, you know, confidentiality and kindness and love, and again, when we see things that are not going the way we want them to or should be, have a conversation. Like it is worth leaning in and really pursuing connection. We don't ever want you to ignore it and just kind of, you know, move along. Like we really empower you in the kindness and the goodness of Jesus, not in a way that's condemning, but we would love you to step in and pursue connection and lean in and have conversation. So, and as things come up, feel free to talk to your overseeing pastor too. Like, hey, we had this situation, or we encountered this. What do you think? And some are better than others. We have a lot of great pastors, but not all are super pastoral. Let's be honest. I mean, just honest. That's not actually their first gifting, even though that's just the title we use. So you can always pull in, you know, some of the more pastoral people too. Like, take a Thad Suite. About nobody more pastoral than Thad Suite. So you need a real pastor, he's your guy. Oh, like over me, like I'm telling you, like please go to Thad before you come to me. Like he's very good. But anyway, that's just a little side note of how we, you know, want you to think and be engaged. Some of the perks, we talked about the email address. Is anybody not set up yet with that email? You're an old timer. We gotta get you. Okay, you're so great. Okay. That's so funny. All right, I'll put you down.
I'll do it.
And not to shame you in any way.
I'll do it.
So funny. Okay, and then key cards. Did everybody get their key card, name badge, all of that? Great. All staff meetings. So these used to be every month. We've kind of changed our flow this year for many reasons, but it's going to be probably about every 6 weeks to 2 months, and that's not like an expectation, but an invitation. So I know it's lunch on a Tuesday in the middle, like you have lives. I know that it's not always possible, but you're always welcome. So with that Vineyard email address, they'll send you the calendar invite. Just let us know by responding. Carrie cooks the meals, and so it's really helpful if you click yes or no, either way. And again, that one is not the highest priority, but again, just kind of a blessing and a perk for you if you want to come. And then ministry specialist meetings, that one is, we love you, yes, please be here. Okay, all right. Any questions about that, requirements or perks? Okay, does everyone feel like they have the tools that they need to do the work in front of them, or the ministry that they have in front of them? I know you're doing so much creative stuff. Leah totally revamped the entire pastoral care email. So do you, hospital care team, what do we call it?
Yeah,
Care team,
hospital,
yeah, great. It's beautiful, one. But are you all getting that? You're not getting it.
I was, and then I haven't got it for like the last 6 or 7 days. So
If you're not, maybe just you can let me know, cause I know how to add people.
Okay.
Interesting, it makes me wonder, but you guys are using MailChimp.
It should automate it.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
The email?
Hospital prayer.
Hospital prayer.
It's beautiful. You just, and
It's so easy to read.
so beautiful, thank you. And again, if you hear of
Oh, yeah,
people
I have
needing care throughout the week, like so many times I'll be on Facebook or something, I'll see like, oh, like I just last week so-and-so's brother passed away. I'm like, oh, Thad, Laura, you know, just so you guys are in the loop. Thad does more of the funeral care type, and then Laura's doing all the hospital care things. So if you know people in the hospitals, please, there's a whole team that is amazing, that loves really, really well, but wonderful. Okay, so but tool-wise, you guys feel like you have what you need to do what you get to do? Okay, and if ever you need help, let me know. I'll pull some strings, we'll get you what you need. Okay. At one point we talked about Monday.com. I think Monday is waning. It's not waning for certain teams, but you probably all don't have to mess with it. But you might. I mean, we'll see. It really depends on your org. But if you hear Monday.com, just run away and say, no, I'm just kidding. It's a great tool. Some teams will need to utilize it more than others. It could actually be a great tool for prayer appointments at some point, but it's a whole overhaul.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's like shared, it's a space for shared information.
And it's working for me what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, if it,
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
stick to it.
I
I'm
might
sure.
not, I might need some help with Google Drive, just understanding it a little
Oh
bit.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
on a Tuesday afternoon.
Okay.
We can help you. No problem. And then CCB, does everyone have CCB access that they need? And again, that's some privileged information. You won't have all the things, but just remember that we honor people's personal information and it never goes beyond us and things like that, cause it's a privilege to have that. Okay, core values, let's talk through them for a sec. So, these are listed on that first page here, totally out of order, but just keeps you on your toes, so it's really fun. These core values, again, we worked through these as a staff a few years ago, and really it's just us putting pen to paper for who we are. Like at the end of the day, we might want to be Stephen Furtick, we might want to be so-and-so, but at the end of the day, this is actually just who we are, plain and simple. And, well, maybe not simple. Maybe not plain, supernatural breakthrough's not so plain. But it really just kind of identifies who we are, and it helps us understand why we do what we do. And you know, when we start looking around and kind of seeing these values fleshed out, we want the ministries to really represent these things. They're really important to us. And we're in the process now of talking through like vision stuff with the executive team and then the pastors eventually, I think this week actually. But just kind of like, where are we going? You know, what is God developing? What is He creating us to do? But what is the call on this family? Again, it is beautiful when other churches walk out exactly who they're supposed to be. We love that. We celebrate it. We love the differences. But we have to know what the unique call is in this house. And at the end of the day, no matter what, we will live and breathe and die on supernatural breakthrough. It is who we are, and you really can't get away from it. I said the thing that makes us different is you're always wanting to know what God is doing, and you want to partner with Him. And so I said the thing that makes us unique is like when I'm at the Target, and the girl's telling me she just had surgery, this happened, I can't help but go, I'm just gonna pray for you right now if that's okay. You keep at it, you keep doing what you're doing, but you just bless and you pray for healing and you expect encounter. Not every church does it, and that's okay. Please don't hear me say, we got it, you don't. That's not how I feel. But that is actually very core to who we are. And so supernatural breakthrough is really an expectation because it's us living out the identity that, you know, the DNA of who we are. So yes, we want that to be seen in everything. And again, if you haven't taken the School of Kingdom Ministry, it's a great place to learn about grace and righteousness and identity and all of that. So supernatural breakthrough. And then missional leadership. It's probably one of my favorite things. You'll notice this too of all the core values. Most people resonate with one more than another. Totally fine. I'm actually not your supernatural breakthrough person. Like, I love it, but it's just not actually my number one thing. I'm really good at missional leadership. This is actually where I shine. I love developing leaders and seeing people be everything that God's made them to be and raising up other people, and it's super fun for me. But why missional leadership is important is because it keeps us moving forward. And so many times if we don't think about that, we kind of stay right where we are, and Father's always working, so we want to partner and move forward with Him. So we're always looking for ways to give away what we have. One of the most important things in leadership that people don't talk about much is understanding confidently that it's okay to give away and it doesn't take away from you. So we can give away without it taking away. And this is like kingdom principles on generosity, just even if you understand giving and tithing and all of that, you're like, oh, we give away, and then suddenly we have. And so even on your teams, the more people you can find to come up under and you can give away to, it doesn't actually take away from your leadership, it'll empower it, and you're actually gonna have all the more spaces. So even as you guys are thinking about Alive, recruit. The best thing you can do is nothing at all. I know it sounds weird, but like if you can come to an event or you can come to a thing and you have recruited and you've done all this work and you've empowered so well that you don't actually have to do any of it, you've arrived. And so here I am doing it all, so I'm gonna practice what I preach. Next time you guys get to do this. But really, truly, like we always think somehow maybe I have to prove myself, and that's maybe not always the proof, or maybe I have to, be able to show that I can do it or all this. And if you're in the role, you can do it. We know it, you can do it. But finding space for other people to do it, that's kingdom, and that's super exciting. So missional leadership is just always, partnering with what God's doing in others and finding a way to continue to give it away. So keep that in mind as you lead. Tribe, we want to change this word to family because we always have to describe it. Tribe, it means family. That's what that means. So tribe, family, means that we do this together. And so family, I don't know about your families. My family's a little dysfunctional, right? They all got a little bit of fun in there. We're a family. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is our commitment is, at the end of the day, we love you so much. and we're gonna do this together, but it's really okay to have hard conversations in families. You can say like, man, Leah, I experienced you this way, and I just don't understand, or when you said this thing, like, that made me feel like this, like, can you just explain a little more? We always assume the best, but it doesn't mean we don't have the conversation. And so in healthy families, we lean in, we come back to the table, we don't disconnect and push it out somewhere else. Like Tribe says, we do this together. And hopefully along the way, it means we have a lot of fun, because families have so much fun. And we make some great memories, but it means that there's lots of different personalities, lots of perspectives, lots of, it's family. Think about your families. Like, I'm preaching this weekend, I'm sharing a little bit about my family. Like 6 kids. Wild. Like, there's just too many of us, and everybody thinks differently and lives differently, and it's just, that's okay. Like, the difference is okay, but at the end of the day, we're one. And so we do say, like, we love, like, when we come together, you can have honest, hard conversations here, but that you're raving fans out there, right? That we celebrate the family. We don't talk about our family. We celebrate the good. So anyway, that's Tribe. And then excellence, which is, it always feels bad to write this down, but the truth is, this is who we are. We like in the tent service when the mics are being wonky, or the wind is going and everyone's going, oh, the mic's not working. Why? Excellence. We carry this value of we want to do things really, really, really well. And so from the Kingdom Kids ministry to 50 plus to Alpha to anything that we do, we want to give our very, very best. And it doesn't mean perfection. Believe me, it does not mean perfection. But it does mean that we have done due diligence to put we want to do the very best with what we have been given. And so you'll notice, we're our own worst critics, literally. Like, I'll have people from the outside come in or sit in some of our meetings, and I don't know, Tracy's been in a bunch of meetings in the last 6 months. I'm sure that, we're over the top, like, the way that we talk through every detail of, I'm like, I don't know, maybe other people do this, but it feels like we do our very best. It's just kind of who we are, and we're probably not gonna get away from it, so welcome to the team. And again, we make mistakes, we mess it up along the way, there's a lot of grace for that, but at the end of the day, it is who we are, that we just wanna do our very, very best. So those are the core values, and I would love to take some time, and I think we could probably just do this as a big group. I thought we were gonna break down, but I really just think, what do you think? Yeah. Okay. Just kind of talking through some of this, the core value things, even if you have any questions about the expectations or how we can help you lead better, like any of that, we are totally open. Before we do that, we should talk about the John Maxwell thing. Has everyone been able to log into that John Maxwell thing? Have you played around with it? Have you listened to any of them? They're short and sweet. Like the good news, because I know you got a lot of stuff going on. We're not looking to give you mountains of work to do, but I do want you to be inspired in your leadership. And so we need to set up, we'll probably do, it's a 30-day thing, which technically I could say do that this month, and then next month we'll talk through all the things. But I wonder if we should actually chunk it up for 2 sections. And so we'll send you the work afterwards, but we want you to be working through that on your own, maybe writing down some questions, some things that are inspiring you, or is that still recording if my little screensaver's on?
Oh.
I just look at you, young person, as please answer my question. Don't you know all the tech things?
The green light's on.
The green light is on. Oh, now I have my listen, I just got this new this new computer today. We migrated to, oh gosh. I hope you're still working. Oh yeah, look, I think so. Hey, okay, great. Sorry, just put you on the spot.
It's fine.
Technology. Anyway, okay, so family talk. I would love to just hear, first of all, even before we get into the core value things, or maybe this is part of it, but just how are you guys sensing, what God's doing in the church, in the family? What are you? Yeah, I just want to hear from you.
I think there's a separation happening. I think Julie used the word winnowing in her sermon, and as I prayed for our church and just the big church in general, God keeps using that same word, and then it's a winnowing of the church in the aspect of, COVID has shown those that are all in and those that are just wanting to be entertained. And it's happening in not just our church, but I think in a lot of, and I think it's more noticeable in larger churches because there's more people that aren't all in. And so but I feel like God is saying it's a good thing because the people that are all in, like they're hungry. And I see a lot of eagerness on Sunday mornings, the people that are here are just so excited to be here and worship together, and Wednesday nights. But I also think it feels like there's I guess every family has squabbles, and it feels like there's some disconnect in people who they're not connected. So they haven't made an effort to be connected, so they're not coming on Sunday or they're not coming on Wednesday, and maybe they're not in a small group. So because they're not connected, they feel like nobody cares because they're just kind of out there swimming in their own of their own choice. Yeah. But they don't want to blame the church for their fact that they're out there. I just see that in people's attitudes sometimes, and on Facebook, and there's just some people that they're unhappy because they've chosen to be unhappy because they're not connected. And I don't know how to connect them. That's something that, Brandon and I talk about with how do we get more people in small groups. They have to want to be there. And I don't know. So I do feel like God is lifting up people that are more solid, all in, and that's what's gonna really help in the next season of whatever the church is doing.
Yeah, I just kind of want to echo your point, Tracy. When me and Mariah read Isaiah at the beginning, or maybe last year or this year or something, and this kind of just reminds me of a lot of what Isaiah talks about is how, in the Old Testament, God would basically cut down all of Israel to the remnant. And I feel like the people that are left right now are the remnant, and we're gonna be stepping up and stepping out and showing the community and showing our world what true Jesus followers look like. And I think that our job right now is to shift those paradigms of all the unbelievers and all the people who are just kind of half in, half out, on what it really, really looks like to fully trust Jesus and trust that he's still on the throne, and to trust him with your whole life and have that peace that we had throughout this whole coronavirus thing that the world needed. I just think it's just kind of our chance to step up and step out and kind of be Jesus to everybody.
Yeah, that's good. Kind of along that same line for both of those gals. So we really felt like we heard strongly from the Lord that there was a lot of people that were making an idol out of and worshiping the building. Maybe not necessarily just this one, but so the Holy Spirit has been so strong and moving so much in other places to prove that, we're the church, it's where we are. So it's been good to see that, and I just hope that more and more people hear about it, see about it, to know that we don't have to be here. We may never be here again. We are, but we may not be. You don't know. So that's kind of what we really have been hearing. It's been good.
Adding to that, even this past weekend, I just have felt a hunger, both personally and collectively. I've gotten to be a part of worship for some of the tent services, and just everyone that's been there. And I know it's not just, it's online and it's everywhere, but there's just been this hunger and this fire for the Lord that I think because we were isolated and separated in this COVID season of just being alone, and some people being quarantined by themselves. I mean, there just was this deep isolation that, I personally felt, even though I live with a great family, and so starting to kind of come back, there's just this hunger of valuing and having gratitude for who God is for this family. And I just feel like that's going to only continue, but it's going to require that heart of gratitude of not what you said of I've been here 11 years and I love this house, and it's been a crazy season, but when it's stripped away, you just really realize, oh, like, this is a gift. Like, it's a gift that this is 10 minutes from my house, you know? And just having that heart of gratitude, I just feel like the Lord's gonna shift that, and I think he's gonna use the collective leaders and pastors to be stronger, even if that's not, I mean, I don't even know numbers, but like, just thinking of like, is this a real family, or is it just a group of people coming together? So, that was, and yeah, it's just a cool thing to see, and like, it's a fun perspective of the worship leader or the pastor on the stage, cause you just literally get to see it. And it's just almost made me emotional, like leaving, cause it's just like, this is just a gift to be here and to get to steward this together, so.
One thing I did on Sunday is I just walked around and looked for someone that was by themselves. You know, and just to just make that conversation. And then, we started in our prayer appointments, just making sure that people are connected. You know, just make sure that they're in a small group. I started my small group back, like the first weekend in May, out in my backyard. And I think I started it at noon. I told everyone, bring your own lunch, we'll sit outside. People didn't leave till 5.
Wow.
And we kept it going well, then we switched back to Friday nights, but yeah, they just were just like, we need people, we need to be with people, you know? And so, yeah, so that small group is, in fact, we moved to a bigger place that's a house, but no one's living there, so we can have more room, just, cause it's gonna be cold this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. I love it.
Outside might be a little chilly.
No, I love fall. I'm just like, I take my kids outside every single day. I'm like, what am I gonna do? The library doesn't have any toys. Like, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Anyway, yeah.
I agree with both of you, just like this hunger for community. I think especially with the college kids, and then I also lead a young adult small group, and people are hungry for community, but like real community, like not the fake, like here's my mask, here's my perfect me. It's like the real, the raw, because we can't hide it anymore. His word, done hiding. Yeah, and I think it's crazy, like my young adult small group, I hosted outside, and actually 23 people show up. And I was like, my neighbors are gonna call the cops.
Oh,
because I have 23 people.
Oh.
And I live like in a condo area, so I don't have my own backyard. So I share with other people. I was like, oh no. So I actually have a split, but because I've just seen like so many people, even in the college ministry, just show up. I think people are just hungry for that like raw and real connection. Yeah.
Good.
I also feel like when I was talking about what I felt like I was saying with the winning, the positive side is I really sense Holy Spirit saying it's okay, because he's lifting up the leaders to step out. It's like the people that are all in are going to be solid, and they're going to, like, that's what he wants. So it seems like it's the opposite of what we normally would want to do. We'd want to be like, well, let's go find all these people that aren't here. But I felt like God's saying that they don't want to be here. So you can't make them want to be here. You just keep doing what I've called you all to do. Do these things, show the world, and they'll see it. So it's kind of like, instead of chasing the people that have chosen not to be all in, and wasting energy trying to find one person, like, why are you not here? Invest, which is what you're doing, in the people that want to be here, because they're hungry, and they're just so, I think this is the finest hour. I think we have great opportunity. I know that was what Jay's word back in the spring, but I really believe I just feel like God keeps saying it's okay. It's all right that it's being cut away, because what's gonna be left is gonna be that remnant that's just gonna change the world.
And for several years, I mean, we've been talking and promoting, we gotta move outside the walls. What better time? Here we are, we're out there.
Well, here's where I've been challenged, like, we're in a season where we get to think differently about everything, and we get to say, like, my favorite question, why do we do what we do, right? Why do we do what we do? How did we get here? Somebody made a decision, and then we just did it, like, literally, I don't know if Ben Hare used to tell this story about the meatloaf pan.
Oh, yeah.
And you cut,
Yeah,
like,
the
they cut the sides off of the meatloaf for years. They I don't even know the whole story, but you basically cut off the ends of the meatloaf when they started doing the recipe, they would cut off the ends of the meatloaf. That's just what you do. And no, it ended up, it was like,
Because the pan was too small.
the pan was too
It has
small.
nothing to do with the.
It was not the actual recipe, it wasn't but I think we've done things like that in our, even in church, like we do things because we think that's the way it should be done, and we think we're following the rules, but I think where I have been so challenged is, when COVID hit, it almost like you pulled it back and you're like, oh, do we even have disciples? This is actually, because when you get squeezed, what comes out?
Yeah.
People got squeezed. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw myself. Like, I'm being totally honest. I'm like, I didn't know that was in there. It is. So like, but it really makes me wonder, like, is what we have been doing making disciples? And these questions, I've asked Jesus this one question for many, many years. When it comes to the church and like how we do it, is this really what you had in mind? Because like, is this really what you had in mind for the church? Because if it's not, I'll throw it all away. What pleases you, Jesus, right? And so I think we're in the season of now questioning kind of everything. The goal for us is to make disciples, right? That's pretty much every church. Go and make disciples. That's a great commission. We want to make disciples. Is what we're doing making disciples? I'm not totally sure that it is, and we have to be willing to lay it all down. It's kind of like, I was talking to Ken a little bit, my kids are in hybrid school in Muhammad. Before, like, I'm a huge proponent of school. I love school. I would be, like, send them on the bus 5 days a week, like, no problem, bye. But the goal is education. And we thought because they're getting on a bus and they're going to school 5 days a week, they're being educated. And so then as a parent, I think, oh my gosh, if I have to do this at home, I don't have 35 hours to, like, make my kids learn things. Like, how are we gonna do this? When you peel it back, you're kind of like, actually, there's a lot of fluff in there. They got like 30 kids waiting to wash their hands. Like, that takes forever. And you've got, there are 3 recesses, and you've got, not that recess is important, hear me, but like, you kind of have a bunch of fluff in there that actually can get cut away. And so now with this hybrid model, I think, oh my gosh, we're kind of living the best world, right? So they do go to school 4 afternoons a week, and they have this amazing 9-on-1 instruction from a teacher, and they're kind of getting the core teaching in a personal, close relationship, and they get to learn independently, so they're learning how to learn on their own. Like, there's all these wins, and as I'm thinking through this, like, education thing, I'm thinking about the church, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, is there a better way? Is there a hybrid method to church life that actually the goal is discipleship, right? The goal is education. Is there a better way that's going to cause people to be more invested? I'm a more invested parent now that I have to be. I mean, I had to. When we think about even our Kingdom kids, parents, what are ways we could be more invested in their Christian education rather than go to Kingdom Kids, bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I love Kingdom Kids, I miss it so much. But these are the questions I'm having. So like, when it comes to discipleship, like Ken, what you're saying, like, we are the church. Like, it's wild to me. I ran Muhammad for many years, the Muhammad campus, and when we came back, it was actually about buying a building. That's what started the whole thing. It was going to be $3-ish million, and I just said, I understand money. Like, I am not doing that. That is not wise. The father said, you can be the church without the building. And like, wouldn't you know it, we could be the church without the building. Because we used to fret over a canceled service. You don't know the pain of the staff of, like, if ever we didn't have a weekend service in person. You know what? If you teach people generosity and you teach people connection, it's okay. We don't even have to worry. Pretty sure that's in scripture somewhere, right? Don't worry about anything, pray about everything. So anyway, it just like gets my wheels turning when it comes to like how are we discipling? Because that's the goal of every ministry, right? That we're making disciples. So many ways that it happens, and the coming together, whatever that looks like, whether it's in a church group, in a small group, in a SOCM group, in an Alive group, in a prayer group, like the coming together, so important. But we come together so that we can go be Jesus, so that we can come together, and then we can go be Jesus, so we can come together. So like, I want the gathering to focus on celebration. Like, I read someone be like, Sunday should be the celebration of everything God's done during the week, right? The family comes together and we worship him and we celebrate him and we honor him, and then we tell the testimony, tell the story. I want to know I want to know how God is using you to change the world. I want to know those stories. Like those moments of breakthrough are, one, inspiring. Like it actually goes, oh, okay. So it's not just work. It's like kingdom partnership, and it's so beautiful and wonderful. But we want to celebrate those things. And so every time you bring people together within your ministries, celebrate. And it's not just like, look at all this great stuff, but it's like, no, look how God moved. Like we want to celebrate the breakthrough, because that's just so beautiful and so important. So anyway, these are some of the thoughts rolling around in my brain that you didn't ask for. But honestly, but when we think about church on the whole, like we've got, we're actually processing, what does it look like for half the church to be in church groups? Because the alternative, they're not going to church at all. And actually, what if a church group brings closer connection? I mean, you're living it, so I'm gonna pick your brain real good, in a little bit, but like, what if that kind of close community, cause we know our services, you can come in, I tell them actually in Connect 4, I said, you can be an anonymous as long as you wanna be, cause you really can. You can come in, you can slip out, but they're not anonymous to God, and they shouldn't be anonymous to us. We want real connection, and really connection is what changes you, when we have relationships. So it could be the best way. Now the strategy behind how do we get those people in those groups, that's the kicker. So if you have any thoughts, you let me know. And it doesn't mean we don't still do a gathering for those who want to gather in a larger setting. I think that's so important too. I just don't wanna miss out, like just for like comparison's sake, we have about 500 on a good weekend at the tent.
Really?
Yeah, so 500 outside, which is amazing.
Yeah.
If we move inside, that'll change. I think, personally, I think some people who are comfortable outside won't be comfortable inside. The flip side, maybe people will come that don't wanna do the tent. I personally hate the tent outdoor. I'm not like made for the outdoors, so I'm always like, get me into temperature controlled environments. That's just my personal thing, but I love Jesus, so I kind of, But anyway, these are all the things of like discipleship. When you think of the tools we have at our disposal, how are we discipling? And so there's lots of ways to do it. I think church groups is going to be imperative moving forward. And I think, and it's not one is better than another. It's like there are multiple ways to make disciples and ways that we celebrate, and some people will never come to a church group first, but they would for sure show up to a weekend service, and so kind of figuring all that out. But I've talked too much, so I would love to hear your thoughts on any of those things.
I think, Leah, I agree with you that the small group, what I call small groups,
Sure.
whatever kind, I think that really is the future. And I would just suggest there needs to be a compelling vision put out there for, convince me, I mean, we're in a small group, but convince me that I have to be in that group. And I think there's so many testimonies out there. I know in Kim's group for sure, and Joe's group. We're seeing the Lord show up. And once a person gets in a small group and they experience the presence of God, it's all over.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter who's got the gifts. If the presence of God is in that group, they're gonna be back.
Yeah.
And so that all connects up to a vision. I think there needs to be a courageous, robust vision casting for this is what's going on in these things. You know what I mean?
So good.
Yeah, I'm all over this. This thing has been burning on my heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've told people, I'm sorry, I've said it's like this holy unrest. Like I can't let it go, and I don't know why. And it doesn't mean I want to celebrate all that God's doing in all the places of the church, but there's something happening in the context of these pockets. These pockets of hold-ons or whatever we call them, putty's their word, but like these little places are.
Yes, but also, I think it's also important not only to put a compelling vision out, but then also to disciple the small groups, to be sure that the small groups are in alignment with the presence of God also, because this group over here could be social.
Right.
And social's good.
No,
This group over here could be experiential, experience is good. This group over here could be Bible, that's good. So there needs to be not a uniformity, but an agreed set of objectives that everyone in a small group, they all know this is what we're trying to make.
There you go. Yeah.
This is what we're trying to make, and this is how we do that.
Good.
Kind of thing.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
And I think, I just wanna add that I think the answers, all those questions you had are so similar. I think the answers are right in the book of Acts.
I know.
They're in the
Very
scriptures.
familiar.
They're in the
I know.
scriptures, you know, and,
And for now, like,
Huh?
Yeah.
it's for now, like,
Yeah.
this is the time, I don't know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so anyway,
We might need more meetings.
I'm just burning
Okay.
this concept. so.
Okay.
We're collecting testimonies. I
Yes.
have several of you to do, and I'll just ask you all right now, if you are in a small group and you wanna give us a 30-second video of yourself or your spouse
No.
saying.
30 seconds is not gonna do it.
There you go, we'll take
30
that.
seconds is a commercial.
There you go.
That's what the tracking asked for. So make it as long as you
Oh.
want, but
Right.
do a video of yourself,
Yeah.
why you like a small group, why you should be in a small group, because the suggestion that we had given to, I don't know what you call them, creative, to push for small groups is we don't need pastors telling us we need to be in small groups.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, well, yeah, of course Leah says we have to be in a small group because she's the pastor. Yes, Julie and Mike say that because they're the pastors, but people, everyday people that have had their life changed by being part of a small group. If you share your story
Oh, yeah.
and you share your story and we all share our stories and we put them out there, then they see that there's people that wanna be part of this. So
Right.
if you will
Yeah.
film yourself and send it to me or Brandon, we'll get it to create.
Well, I just wanna make a comment on that, whatever 15-second thing.
That's
That
creative's
was,
time, but
that was upsetting to see.
What's that?
If you really wanna know what's going on in those groups and you really value those groups, 15 seconds? Are you kidding me?
It's good.
Get someone with a camera into a small group
Yes.
and start
Yeah.
interviewing those people
Yes.
whose lives have been changed week after week.
Yeah,
Can't do that in a commercial
that's good.
spot.
That's good.
You can't. You gotta be serious about this.
That's true.
I have a question.
no, you're right.
Mike, I
I'm
have a
crazy about this.
Yeah, he is.
I see like you're super passionate about it. I just wonder, like, what about people who are afraid of COVID? Like, so our small group was thriving, I would say, but one couple had a son who was having like all these breathing issues in and out of the hospital. So as soon as COVID hit, they were like, no, we're not going anywhere. Same thing with another couple in the group. So I don't know if you guys are experiencing people in your groups that are fearful, but how do I say, like, I don't know, like, how do you pastor?
Well, and so we have a gal in our group, and
Yeah,
and so what I wanna try this next week, if I remember, I told Denise, remind me to do this. We're gonna just put her either on FaceTime or Zoom, but bring her in.
okay,
Bring her in, we tried, I know there's no internet at the barn, so, yeah, we'll have to do it on our phone. You know, but just to bring her in, and we've done that before with her at the very beginning, but she would lose it, I mean, it just wasn't working out, so we're gonna try it again.
yeah,
But we still keep her, I mean, we have an ongoing, text message, and,
okay.
you know, she's included in that and everything, but yeah,
Yeah.
we wanna try to just
'Cause I-
bring her in.
Yeah, cause I feel like a lot of the people, like even on my block, they just seem to be more fearful, and I don't wanna, cause I feel like I'm in the middle, like I'm not overly fearful, but I'm also like, I don't want anybody to die, so I don't wanna get it and spread it to you. Right? So, yeah, it's just, that has been the biggest challenge, like, and also thinking about, okay, Lord, like, you clearly wanna do something different. And you even had me thinking last time when we were on Zoom, how you said the, apostles would go to people's houses and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, like, that's right, but I'm like, are people meeting? Like, are they afraid? I don't know.
So
Yeah.
along that line,
Yeah,
so I'm in sales, and a lot of it is agriculture, so you're going to a farm and there's maybe 4 to 5 people the most there anyway, but
okay,
it's amazing how different of an opinion there is from one place to another.
right,
So this is just an example, I'm
yeah,
not judging these people or the others.
yeah,
One farm, I went on Thursday, I remember this day in particular, I went to one farm and, you know, if I've not been there for a while, I was, you know, text them or call them and say, hey, are you accepting your friendly neighborhood fuel salesman today? And, you know, all of them say, yeah. And the first place I went, most of the time was spent with him telling me how completely ridiculous this whole thing is. That's fine, you know,
Right.
because that was his opinion. I went to the next farm, and it was a husband and wife were in the office, and so we're standing there talking and they know because I share my faith, you know, that I'm really involved in our church. And he said, well, what's your church doing? I said, well, you know, we're having a tent service now, and I said, we've been having, you know, a group of people in our home for the last 3 months, you know. Oh my gosh, so how do you social distance?
Right.
And I said, well, we do our best, but we all, it's about the same group, and we, you know, tell people right off the bat, if you've been sick or you have a temperature, you know, let's respect each other, and if whatever you feel comfortable doing or not doing, that's what you do. And, wow, that's just not safe. And they went on about how it wasn't safe. They said, but you know those people that are coming, but you don't know the people they've been around. And I said, that's true. And we, you know, agreed to disagree. We didn't argue. It was just, I said, no, that's true. That's just what we're doing. Sorry.
There you go.
But so, or not sorry, really. So, like in just the next few conversations, the husband says, well, we haven't gone anywhere this summer at all because we just don't feel comfortable doing it. He said, and I like to, he said, I sort of miss going out to eat once in a while and stuff like that. He said, but I do go up to the local restaurant 2 or 3 times a week with the group of guys that show up. They're the farmers. And I'm thinking, okay.
Right.
And then his wife said 2 or 3 things about school. She's going and picking up the grandkids at the school every day and walking them hand in hand to her car. And I'm thinking, okay, your blinders are a little bit. So that's where people are, and I think it's just, you know, I just kind of walk. I'm like you. I just kind of walk down the middle of the road everywhere I go, and if they want to know how I feel, I'll tell them. But I respect how they feel. So.
That's good. But I think my fear is the people who need connection the most are isolated the most. And it's crazy. Like,
how do I tell you?
don't be afraid. There you go. And I'm around people all the time, and I'm extroverted. But for my birthday, I told Ben I want 24 hours by myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be known. I don't want anybody to know my name, look at me. Like, I'm so inundated with people, I needed a break. And I was telling my neighbor across the street, and she's got 4 kids, like, loves Jesus, the whole deal. She's like, wow. She's like, and I am so lonely. And I was like, and literally live right across the street, and it feels like we're living similar lives, but no, she's like desperately lonely. And I'm thinking, again, my experience is not everyone's experience. And even like my neighbors are all super COVID cautious, but the one, and they're still very cautious and aware, but the ones that we even had to stop my kid, my 1st grader, was so, did you watch that? Did you think you're literally passing on fear? She's like, I just stopped. It wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't worth, like, so again, we see these like psychological things that are gonna start breaking down long term, the longer that we do all this. But I think, again, we can't make people do things, but can we offer and invite them to community? And so if we can all find ways in our pockets, in our neighborhoods, in our streams of connection where we say, come just have connection, gathered around the presence, really focused, because again, that is our DNA. Like even when you think of like change the world with Jesus, anybody can do that, you know, but we are supernatural people. We want supernatural breakthrough. That's like when we come back to our core values, this is actually kind of who we are, and we want to make sure that we're all driving in the same direction. We want the messaging to be the same. We want the family. We don't look the same, you know, we're heading in the same direction, but we want to give places for people to connect, and I feel it in my bones. There's something happening where we need to give people more of an opportunity.
You know, you have the tents out there with the welcome tent. You ever thought about putting like a small group tent? And,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
we've had it. We've had it a couple times.
We've been there,
Really?
yes, people come through, we try to talk to them, but like.
No, like to have small groups, like having small groups.
Oh,
Have a small tent.
I think meant to. I thought to
Have
to
small
recruit
groups
small
that
groups.
say, you know, or have representatives for different small groups or something. You know, have the people that are the small group people.
We could do a small group fair. We used to do those. Very. Yeah, I like that.
I think a lot of like this season is meeting people where they're at. I think that's something you talked about early in the COVID season of like, it looks different, and it's not like, you know, my cousin that is staying home because she doesn't want to get it versus, you know, my friend that's going out and really not caring. Like, there's not a wrong, it's just meeting people and finding that place that they feel okay. And like, for my mom and I, we have a women's group, and like, my best friend just moved to Florida, but she's still gonna FaceTime for group, you know, so it's like, there's just, yeah,
You're kidding. I didn't know she
Yeah,
went to Florida.
yeah. So there's just, there's invitations to getting creative, but not letting shame and
That's right.
fear rule decisions,
That's
cause
good.
again, there's not a wrong, like, people that are coming to your group, they're deciding that that's what they
That's right.
want. But, you know, I've talked to people that they're like, I need to go to the tent, cause that's how I get filled up, but there's not a wrong, it's
Right.
just allowing there to be options and recreating the wheel,
Yeah.
like we've talked
That's
about.
good.
And finding the option for those people that don't feel comfortable doing anything is the hardest.
Yeah, cause we're like, okay, then we'll do Zoom, and they're like, oh, it's not the same, like.
Would they like, meet with one or two?
That's a good idea.
It's a mini
I
group,
should-
I'm telling you. There's nothing
I
new under the
should
sun, I
ask
just wanna put it
them.
out there and we've done all the things, but
I literally should ask them that.
Or I even tell people to come on Wednesday night. I said, if
Yeah.
you wanna taste again of what, it was like.
Oh, that's right,
I said, come on Wednesday night.
That's a, yeah,
And that's
that's a
definitely
good.
made, I mean,
That's a good
there's plenty of room,
Yeah.
people can be spread out, it's
Yeah.
very safe. And I've seen people on Wednesday night that aren't here on Sunday.
Mhm.
So I know that, I mean, it definitely, a lot of people that is comfortable for them, cause, and everybody's wearing masks, and that's a great.
Yeah, that is a good option.
Or even like front porch hangs, like
Oh,
I've had countless friends that we just, you know, we've not either come to the same service or whatever, but we're like, hey, let's go get a pizza and sit and be distant, you know, respecting, but still have that community, like just, or like there's an older couple in the church that hasn't been able to come, obviously, to be safe, but, you know, we've gone and taken them a pie, or just, you know, it's those intentional moments that people don't feel like they're lost, but again, we can't do that for everybody, so it's when the leaders rise up and, hey, I've not seen so-and-so for a while, let me text or go see them, or like, I just think it's about creativity.
You have to present every opportunity there is,
there you go.
and you have to put it in their ballpark, and it's like, you can't say you didn't try, but you also have to be persistent in love, like the Father was to all of us before we said yes to Him. And like, if they'll come, and if not, like, you tried, and even like 2-3 weeks later, like, if you don't see him or don't hear from him, just like check in on him again. That way, because I know in college it's like, oh, well, you guys try to recruit me in the beginning, and I never heard from you, and it's like, you just wanted me to join your ministry. So it's like, if you wanna really establish relationship and community, you have to keep pursuing
That's
in
really
love,
good.
like the Father does, so.
The goal is connection. I just like, I hear it over and over, it's
Yeah.
connecting, how do we connect, where people are, it's a personal invitation, you know, that's so good.
And it's contagious in ways that you never even think about. So every Sunday, of course, you know, we've got all these cars and all these people, and so the neighbors, they know what's going on now, you know, and I've invited every neighbor to.
Oh, yeah, no.
And some of them, one has come and then they found a church good for them, but my neighbor next door, his dogs ran over Sunday morning, and I always give him a treat. And so he come over to get him, and we're talking, and he said, read through the whole book of Matthew this morning. And he said,
Got up early.
I don't know if any of you know John Lawrence. John is a mutual friend of ours. He goes here too. And so Dave, my neighbor, he said, I called John a couple times. He said, he wasn't home, but I left him a message to call me back. I need some answers for some of this stuff I'm reading. And I'm thinking,
Okay.
you know, go
There you
Lord.
go.
And
There
maybe
you
the
go.
next step is he'll wanna come over and
There you
share it
go.
with us on Sunday, you know? So I think there's more going on than we can see.
Well, what would it look like if everyone discipled their neighborhood? I mean, again, the art of neighboring, we did that years ago, I'm pretty sure, that, Cathics book. You know, or the people that are right in your circle, we all have a circle, like, imagine if we just did it, you know, and it doesn't mean they'll ever come to the church, listen, I've been loving my neighbors for a long time, they did all come one time when I was preaching, just cause they're my friend, I think, which was really special. But really truly, like, these are people that you can do life with, you can encourage, you can bless, you just never know what's being sown as you invest in people in real ways, and how we do it, like you said, the how, there might be I think my question, like when it comes to vision, is how do we cast a vision that is a net wide enough for everyone?
There's an app that I email, and they send me my neighbors, I mean, I live out in the country, so,
Oh.
you know, a fourth of a mile away is my closest
There you
neighbor.
go.
But it sends me the names and addresses and a prayer on my neighbors, and I can check off if I've discipled them,
Oh
if
my
they're
gosh.
believers, yeah.
That is amazing.
Now, I've been pretty bad this week.
Maybe
Maybe this month of not looking at it every day, but yeah, but it's love your neighbor.
Remember the sermon, and I think it was Hap that gave it, and we handed out the little thing with who's your neighbor?
There you go.
Yes.
And you had to put.
Yeah, you had to write them in the
Yeah.
statement. Did you
I've
know 'em?
copied those over and over, when somebody moves in, I take them a new one.
Oh, that's
And then I
good.
put their name on there, and I give them ours with the numbers on it, so they know who people are. That's a great icebreaker for
Great.
getting in their door.
Wait, what's a great icebreaker?
He's saying so it's the art of neighboring, and
There
you
was-
actually
it was
have the
like
squares.
9 squares with
Yeah.
a little house on it and place for a name. And so I write their names and the phone numbers of everybody. There's only 10 houses in our subdivision.
Okay.
So I put them on there, and I had to cut one in half, cause there's only 9 squares of paper anyway. So there's been people move in and out, so when somebody new moves in, I take them that, and their square, of course, is blank, and I fill theirs in on mine and give them that so they can connect to the neighbors if they need
Oh,
to.
So
that's
great.
awesome.
It's
So
called
amazing.
Bless Every Home
Bless
website.
every home.
And every day I get an email from them with 5 neighbors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're probably miles away.
Wow.
And then a little
Technology's
prayer on
amazing.
how to pray for them, and then you can go further into it and you can check off like, did I contact them?
This is good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I learned this from a church in Arizona, and then Christian Life Church was doing it, so I'm like, I need to start doing that. Like, oh, my neighbors are so far away, but.
Does it give you the neighbor, or do you have to know them?
No, this is a list of my neighbors.
That's
It has a
creepy,
map.
actually.
It tells you where they live.
How'd they get my number?
That's right.
And I'm trying to think who started this, is it what's that Engel guy? I think this is his name.
Lou?
I think this might be, I'm trying to remember how this originated,
Brilliant.
but yeah, I'll send this to you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
That'd be a good app.
I love it. Again, if it gets us motivated to love and to be concerned with those right in front of us, that is a total win, Okay. We didn't talk about the core values really, but thoughts on any of those? I know they're inundated with all we do. I know I have my vision question for you. You'd be thinking about it, but.
Say it again.
Like so when you think of casting vision, how do you cast vision for the method? Like the methods are gonna be very different, right? So we're saying,
I don't think you should feel any compulsion to try to get everybody. I think you just cast a vision, and what wins us, right? What wins us is a testimony of what God did for somebody,
Totally.
right? We all know that. And so when you can incorporate testimony into a vision, then I think that's the best you can do. And there's an old saying in the vineyard, if you work with the people you've got, God will send you the people you need. And so I think, I'm wondering if the focus really is on the people that are there. Kind of like Tracy, what you were saying a minute ago. I mean, it's counterintuitive, but if you're investing in the people that are there, that aren't afraid, those people presumably are growing and maturing so that they can be witnesses, right? I mean, this is idealistic, I know, but I just wonder if that's the real direction it has to go in is, okay, we've got 5 people. We are gonna be in the presence of the Lord tonight. We're gonna call this space, Michael Heiser says, everywhere the church people gather is sacred space. The enemy cannot have access to it. I mean, we've gotta believe things like this. We've lost a lot of faith,
it's good,
I think.
it's good.
So it's sacred space, and we saw that at your house the other night. I've gotta share this one
Yes, please.
thing.
We wanna
I
be
gotta
first.
share this.
30 seconds.
Oh my.
Don't ever say that to me. I will not comply. Anyway, so there's a woman, I can share this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a woman that comes to our group
Yeah.
that is dripping with
Yes.
scripture.
Yeah.
She's got her big Bible, it's all highlighted, and out of her mouth all the time is scripture. She's bubbly, she's faithful, she's excited. And last time we met, there was something hanging on this
Yes.
lady.
And
There
you
was a
never see
heaviness on her, and we noticed it. I just like, she is not herself. And the meeting went on, and at the end of the meeting, we went into the kitchen, and I was in the kitchen with her, and Joe was there. And we just started talking to her. We just started asking questions, and her story starts to come out, and we're keying in on it. And finally we say, let's just pray. And so 3 of us joined hands with her, and we prayed right there after the meeting in the kitchen. And we're praying prayers like, God do this, and give her wisdom or stuff like that. But
We're
at
peeling
one,
fear off.
yeah,
Yeah.
and other things, I don't remember exactly, but at one point, she just changes on a dime.
Yeah.
And she says, it's breakthrough!
Yeah.
It's breakthrough!
Yeah.
And she starts dancing,
Yeah.
and starts jumping into people,
Oh.
and running them, and right there, that was sacred space.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
God broke her heaviness.
Yeah.
She returned to
Yeah.
who she is.
I did talk to her the next day. And
Did you?
It was good. Yeah.
Wow.
And is she still that
You know
way?
the last person that left my house that night was 1 o'clock in the morning?
I
And this
believe
isn't
it.
my house, this is
No.
an empty house. I said, I'm gonna turn one of the beds.
So I believe when the presence of the Lord
Yeah.
shows up,
Yeah.
nothing can
That's right.
stand in
That's
that
right.
place.
That's
Not
right.
depression,
That's right.
not heaviness,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And if you come and you're leaving with some of that still on you, something went wrong in the meeting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and she shared at the beginning, and then she did share with, I always ask, what are you thankful for, and what is your challenge? And she was sharing there, so she was starting to open up, and then the message was just like right on. But yeah. But if people choose not to open up,
That's true.
but then if you just, well, like I got a picture of, for Charles, knew nothing about what was going on. And it's like, I need to do that. And so yeah, so
We did the burn last night.
you did the burn.
Yep, fire in the garden.
Anyway, I can go
But-
on and
Yeah.
on and on.
But I think that's
so
one of the
many
biggest, I think that's one of the biggest things we see every single week
Yeah.
in house church is the Holy Spirit, of course, shows up, but by the time we join hands at the end and start to pray and prophetic words come, there's always a good move, a huge move,
Yeah.
and that is sacred space.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that is difficult is some of those people, and it goes along with what you're saying on the people that are walking back, maybe we can't pull them in. But I think they were the same people that sat in the back row and didn't wanna go down to the ministry line and didn't come to Holy Spirit night and probably weren't at the conference. And so I think you're right. I think that the people that are coming are getting it, and the people that aren't, that want it, are gonna come.
Yeah.
If we let them know where they can go, to experience what they've experienced, the same thing they get here, or, it's a church. It's the same thing, it's just at a different spot. But
We have to
it's
stop
there.
worrying about numbers.
It's
Amen.
definitely there.
Yeah.
I think
Amen.
so long, it's like, well, we had 1,500, or we had 500, we focus on the wrong thing, because Jesus goes after the one. And so if we just have one here and their life has changed, that should be enough. On Wednesday night, we can have up to 75? So if we only have 20, is that a disappointment? If those 20 had their life changed that night, if they had an encounter with the Holy Spirit and they leave and they go out there
So,
and are changing their world, that's success, right? That's kingdom success. So as through this whole process, I feel like God's just saying the numbers don't matter.
Right.
Because numbers put the focus back on what we can do. What can we do to get more people here? It's not up to us to get more people here. It's up to us to be faithful disciples, to do what we're asked to do for the kingdom, to be who God asked me to be. I can't be Leah, I can't be Sharon, I can't be Mike, I have to be Tracy. We have to be ourselves. And when we do what we're called to do, when Vineyard does, we just be ourselves.
Yeah.
The people will either come or they won't. And you know what? If they won't, that's okay, because we're doing what we're supposed to do. We don't call them anyway. We can't save them. The Holy Spirit has to call them to himself. So I think sometimes we get our priorities messed up because we're measuring the wrong thing as success. And I get that you have to a little bit because, finances, and you gotta pay the bills, we gotta keep the lights on. It takes money to do kingdom stuff, totally get that. But I think we have to look different, we have to look at things differently.
And there's a certain amount of people that, you've heard it, we've all heard it, oh, that church is too big, I could never go to a church that big. Okay, well, sure, that's right, we've got 3 house churches, or 5 or 10, or whatever we can come up with. Why don't you go to your choice of these? And then the other thing is so then you get to know a lot better, maybe some of these people, and so when they walk in and there's something going on with them and they're not themselves,
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
if you walk into here
You
with
would know.
1,200 people, but if you walk into 15, we're gonna pray for you even if you don't want it.
Well, you know, and there's that scripture in Corinthians where the person walks into the meeting and everybody's prophesying,
Yeah.
which is what y'all do at your house.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sitting around this table and you called for people to pray, to get words for people, and our friend Charles
Yeah.
was really impacted by that. And
Yeah.
that took 20 minutes, if that. Anyway, the guy in Corinthians, he walks in, and because people are prophesying, it says the secrets of his heart are laid bare,
Yeah.
and he will fall down and exclaim, God is really among you.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right there.
Yeah.
That people walk out of the meeting, God's there.
Yeah.
It's that
Yes.
simple.
Yeah.
God's right there.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
So, I'm nuts about this.
This is so good.
I'm nuts about this.
Well, it's so encouraging.
I'm
I love
crazy
this.
about it.
I'm so glad. I do wanna have a meeting, we'll schedule one, just beware, coming your way. But I do wanna honor your time, so I'm just gonna pray for us, if that's all right. Man. Father, we're just so grateful. Father, I thank you that you are just a God of hope. You're a God of love. You're a God of mercy. You're a God of breakthrough. Like, you are just so in the business of setting wrong things right again. And so I just thank you for these men and women who are just ambassadors of your goodness, ambassadors of your breakthrough. God, I thank you that you never asked church people to stay in the building. God, that you send us out. And I just pray right now for more encounters, Lord. More encounters in our neighborhood, more encounters in our church groups, in our small groups, in the schools, at the grocery store, Father, that everywhere we go, we are partnering with what you are doing, Father, because you're always working, you're always moving. God, I thank you just for the privilege it is to be in relationship with you, and to recognize that we have everything we need because we have you. And so, Father, if there's any things in our lives right now that are just not as you would have them to be, Father, we receive any breakthrough you want to give us, even in this moment. God, I thank you that you make our paths straight. You renew our minds. And Father, we do just pray that this week, as we head out, Father, that you would show us what we haven't been able to see before. That we would see things the way that you do, Father. And that we would love the way that you love. And God, I just thank you that you have not forgotten about